Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I was at the gym and I was on the rowing machine. And for those of you that are familiar with the rowing machine, when you go in, it's not the most attractive position to be in for this body anyway. Right? So you're basically folding yourself up, right? So your knees are up and you're kind of like this, and then you pull out and pull the thing in. So the scrunched up version of my body, it's not flattering, man. Like every part of my belly is scrunched together in front of me. So I very rarely look down when I'm in that position. So I was in the gym on the row machine and I took a few moments to notice this, and then you got to get in the groove and you kind of forget about it. Then, of course, this gorgeous specimen of a 20-something-year-old woman gets on the elliptical just in front of me to the left. And I mean, just a picture perfect body, super toned, fit. She was in her Lululemons. I was rocking out my giant tiger outfit. And she gets on the elliptical, and I'm just like, wow, man. And, 20-something skin, like the whole thing. And I couldn't help but compare myself with her, of course. And I was like, oh, and it just sort of like brought me down, right? I was like, oh, it was just what once was and what will never be. And we just compare. We just compare. It just happens. And I had to spend some time talking to myself and sort of boosting myself up from that. And I realized that, and the talk is, Sarah, you're doing great. You're 56, man. You look pretty good for 56. And you're rocking out the machine, and be grateful for what you've got, and all the talk, right? And then the guilt of actually comparing myself, and that I'm not supposed to do that, right? As a woman in this day and age, I'm supposed to just accept myself for who I am, and not go through that whole comparison thing. And then I should be accepting my body as is. That's kind of the healthy thing to do now. And it's tough. That's a tough thing to ask, right? And it's a tough thing to ask because we've lived in and still live in a society and a culture that tells us what's attractive and what isn't. And even worse than that, what's more insidious is that it doesn't just tell us what's attractive and what we're supposed to like thrive towards or whatever. Is that the right word? Thrive? Drive towards? It also says if you're not that, you're not really as worthy, right? Like we really associate a certain look with being a successful woman, being a successful human, you know, and that life is so much better when you're that. And we've sort of tagged certain body types with certain adjectives, so like an overweight or fat person we kind of will look at as lazy, or lacks self-discipline, or doesn't have any willpower, or must be somewhat depressed or something, or have a low self-image, or any of this bullshit that we sort of attach to this. And then these fit, thinner people are more successful, and they're more self-confident, and people are going to want to hang out with them more, and their life is more fun for them. It's kind of what we're told. So of course we're going to compare, because it's natural for us women to think about how we look. And I'm offering this. This is what saved me from this, and why it's taken me a couple of weeks from that moment to kind of like really process what I'm about to say. Because I think we're trying to accept the wrong thing. And or at the very least, we're missing a step in body acceptance of like, and just saying, oh, I'm pretty cool with who I am. And that is this. I think it's important that we accept the fact that there's going to be a part of us that's going to fucking compare. I think we need to accept the fact that we've lived in and live in this society that's telling us what we're supposed to look like, and that it makes total sense that we're going to compare, and for a brief moment feel kind of shittier about ourselves because we're not that. I'm not that 20-something-year-old on that elliptical. So of course I'm going to have those thoughts. And when I was able to say, oh my God, of course, Sarah, you're thinking this. Huh, look at your brain go. Like, it makes sense. I was like, oh, right. This isn't me. This is my cultural fucking loop that I've grown up with the Farrah Fawcett's and the Jennifer Anistons and the Sports Illustrated mags and the Playboys and the Penthouses that, like, and like, yeah, all these supermodels that are out there that are supposed to be like incredibly happy, and this is what I'm supposed to look like, and I'm less worthy if I don't. So naturally, I'm going to have comparison thoughts, and I'm going to bring myself down a little bit. And the moment that I accepted the fact that those thoughts are going to exist, I was like, oh, okay, that's just my brain giving me some options to think about. Okay. And then I could just like dismiss them. And I didn't have to kind of waste any time trying to talk myself out of, feeling badly for comparing or even comparing itself. It was like, oh, of course. And then I was like, oh, okay, what am I gonna have for lunch? Like it just was just, oh yeah, it was just me observing a natural thing that was going on in my brain. And when it was so fucking liberating, I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. It was just like, duh. Anyways, I hope you get what I'm saying, because then from that space, when you're just like, oh, right, there's nothing wrong with me for thinking these thoughts. It makes total sense that I'm thinking these thoughts. And then you can fall into I'm relying on a society to tell me whether I'm good or not. Right. And I'm like, that's bullshit. And it just ignites this confidence in who I am. And I'm like, I'm not going down that road. I am not playing that fucking game. Okay, cool. And then I can totally accept myself for who I am. So I have to be like, this is why I'm thinking this way. Accept that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again. And I'm not trying to get rid of that. I'm not trying to force myself to not compare and think that I'm wrong for doing so. And then going through that loop of, oh, right. And then this and this. And I'm okay. So I'm not supposed to compare. And now I feel bad for comparing. Oh no, wait a minute. I got to accept my body for right. That's right. That's what I'm striving for. Like, no, I'm just like, this is it. This is what my brain's offering me right now. And it makes complete sense why it is. And then I'm done with it. And that's wicked. That's freedom. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. So just know that the thoughts are going to come, and be okay with those thoughts. It doesn't mean you have to like fight anything or, try and change anything. You're just like, oh yeah, of course my brain's going to give me this. Of course I'm going to think I'm lesser than. But it's not me thinking I'm lesser than. It's what I've been conditioned to believe and therefore think, or conditioned to think and therefore believe is probably the more accurate way. And I'm like, oh no, that's not a belief of mine. I'm cool. All right, keep on rowing. Keep on looking at that belly. Keep on being me, and not attaching myself to this bullshit concept that, I'm lesser of a human being. I'm of lesser value because I'm overweight. Nah, not buying it. All right, I'm awkwardly looking for the button. There we go. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps a little bit.